Hi, I shared a video earlier showing me drawing out this quick sketch of Braemar in Scotland. So I thought I would carry on and share the painting video of it as well. It's a loose sketch and a loose painting. So if you're interested in seeing how this progresses, watch along. I started off with lemon yellow to show the sunlit areas at the top of the trees, and then I'm adding in a little bit of yellow ochre to add another bit of a golden glow onto the trees. I'm painting very loosely, and you can see I'm holding the paintbrush really quite far back, especially for me because I often hold the paintbrush really close to the ferrule down at the bottom. So I'm holding it quite far back to help me stay loose because I don't want to be painting precisely and absolutely correctly. I want this just to be a loose painting sketch. So I'm adding now in a little bit of burnt sienna to give more of a glow on the trees. And down at the bottom, I think we're still using burnt sienna here. Yes, we are, yeah. So just adding additional colours onto the wet paint that's already been put down. And I'm going in with a little bit of green down at the bottom where it's a lot darker and the sun isn't quite hitting these areas. Here I'm going in with a little bit of olive green for the trees that are showing us more green and showing less sunlit areas. And then a much darker green, so that's any green with any kind of grey or blue added to it, for the forest of trees that goes along the very back of the view here. And again, we're just painting quite messily, quite wet as well. I'm not waiting for the paint to dry in the previous things I painted. I'm okay if it bleeds in, it can give quite nice effects. Now we're adding some ultramarine blue onto the roof of one of the buildings. Again, just quite a wet consistency. And more blue across on the other side. I'm adding another wash of blue on top of the front roof so it shows a bit of separation between the front roof and the roof behind it. And then a bit of yellow ochre in some of the building areas and the chimneys. Just any kind of natural colour. And a slightly darker colour. Just throwing that in to make it look a little bit irregular, to give it a little bit of texture. So there's a golden glow on the street, so I'm just painting that in quite a bright yellow. I think it's a cadmium yellow. I'm adding in some yellow ochre as well. And then I think I intended to go for blue, but I think I went for green there. So just a bit of darker colour down the centre of the street there. And a much more intense colour at the side of where the pavements are, just so it differentiates between the curb and the street. There's a much stronger blue for you on the road as well. So now we're just filling in different areas, just filling in inside some of the windows. That's a window sticking out of the building as well, side on. And we've got quite an intense, it's like an Indian red here, and then an intense blue as well going on there. And a more saturated blue over on that side as well. It still keeps the separation from the roof in front of it because it's a slightly different colour. So you can see I'm still holding my brush quite far back to stop me from getting tight with the painting. This is a green fence. Now I'm not going to paint each individual panel on the fence because of the looseness of this painting, so I just painted it in a oneer, as you could see there. It's quite good to use the same colours throughout your painting, so if you're using a colour in one place, it's a good idea to add that same colour into another area of your painting. It helps pull it all together. And here we're going back to the Indian red and just painting in the painted areas of the building and the door and the window frames. Nothing too precise at all, just getting some colour in there. So this is a deer on the side of the building, a deer's head. So just painting that in, the golden colour. And adding more green into the bushes along the side of the fence. This is a wooden fence here behind the lamppost. So I'm just using various shades of natural colours in there. I thought it was a little bit too intense, so I took the colour out of my brush and tried to pull up the colour a little bit with the slightly drier brush. So that's about as detailed as I'm going to go with the fence. Just adding a little bit of natural colour to the turret roof there. And I'll go on and add some more natural sort of browny grey colours to the turret itself. And I'm adding in the darker green to try and separate out the forest behind the closer trees. More intense dark down at the bottom. And I'm adding a bit more green to the bottom of the trees as well, closer to where they disappear behind the buildings. Just loosely painting it in. I'll maybe blend it a little bit, but just nice and loose. So I'm adding the dark colour onto the post of the lamppost. Very messily. That actually probably could have done with being not quite so wide. I think I should have been a little bit more careful with the width of the paint on that post. But I think it's okay. I think it works fine with the messiness of the painting sketch. I'm adding a little bit of some darker colour here just to help give it some depth. And separate out the chimneys from the rest of the building. Okay, so I made that a little bit too dark and a bit too blotchy, so that's me just trying to pull up the paint with the slightly drier brush. And I'll go back in and add a little bit more shade when it's a little bit drier. So for this window area, I was a little bit heavy-handed with the red paint, so I was just trying to remove a little bit of that as well. The roof is dried a little bit, so I can add another little bit of a shaded area onto the roof without it bleeding too much. Because if I didn't let it dry a little bit, then whatever paint I put down would just cover the whole area. So I just wanted it to be separate from some of the other bits on the turret there. So this is a very different style and technique that I'm using to paint here. It's very loose, it's very quick, it's very wet, but sometimes it's good just to have fun, just to take 10 minutes. I mean, this whole thing took, I think the sketch took 10 minutes and the painting probably took about 15 minutes, possibly 20 minutes. So you can do this kind of thing really quickly yourself, just have a bit of fun. And you can come up with some really lovely, lively looking paintings. So I'm just trying to mark out some areas now just to help some bits stand out from the rest of the buildings around them. Still loose, still messy. Now I'm just fiddling with bits, fiddling with little areas. So with this kind of painting, you try not to overpaint it. Sometimes it's a good idea to just stop, not carry on, just stop. Be happy where you've got to. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick little watercolour sketch, and I hope you do your own sketching too. Okay, thanks. Bye bye everyone.